Metal Slug dominated the arcades in the late 90s and early noughties, and this gamer spent many tokens and lock-ins glued to the Metal Slug cabinet. There was something so satisfying about the artwork, frantic gameplay, and just the right amount of humour weaved into the series that made it such an amazing experience to play. The good news for Switch owners and Metal Slug fans is that there are 10 Metal Slug titles on the platform, and since I haven't used my 8-bit Do arcade stick enough, I decided to slug it out through the entire series to rank which are the best Metal Slug games on the platform. Now, I feel like my ranking may be a bit controversial as well, and I know my Attack Reloaded review ruffled some feathers, so I encourage you to share your thoughts on what was your favourite title, and I hope you enjoy this video of Metal Slug Ranked. Kicking off the list with the Neo Geo Pocket version of Metal Slug First Mission. This portable version might be one best saved for the die-hard fans only. It's challenging in its own unique way, giving you a health bar and a limited amount of continues as you slug it out over a variety of missions. It still has boss fights, vehicles and weapon power-ups, and it's fun for sure, but it loses a lot of the charm the mainstream series has due to the technical limitations of the game. The Switch port also sticks with the original handheld screen size, making things a little difficult to see. But this also leads us to the next portable version of the game. At number 9, Metal Slug Second Mission. Metal Slug Second Mission follows the first portable game in this list, but it does have a lot of improvements, like a dedicated grenade button, and the mission structure is a bit more enjoyable. But unfortunately, it suffers the same fate as the game that came before it. And it's not like these are bad games by any means, but they just don't have the same fluidity and rush that the other games have. So like I said, I think the first mission and second mission are probably for the die-hard fans only. And that's not the only mobile port on this list. The next one's a doozy. Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. My first divisive entry on the list. Metal Slug Attack Reloaded really failed to leave its mark with me in my review earlier this year. It was a mobile game that originally was given a second chance at life by removing the microtransactions, but unfortunately, they left behind the grind. Attack Reloaded doesn't follow the standard side-scrolling action and opts to focus on deck building in a range of missions across the globe. While to me the gameplay failed to hit its mark, everything else was there, from the gorgeous artwork, the fantastic music, and the series humour. But in my opinion, it just didn't really work. There has been a few updates since launch, so I will revisit it to see what's new. But for those looking for a more AFK style of game, Attack Reloaded may be up your alley. Now, on to the first entry in the mainstream series. Metal Slug 5. Released in 2003, it kept the series' signature 2D side-scrolling gameplay packed with intense shootouts, crazy vehicles, and over-the-top explosions. This time, you're up against a new enemy force as well as classic enemies, and the game introduces some cool new features like the Slug Gunner, a powerful new vehicle, as well as new power-ups. The graphics are just as colourful and detailed as you'd expect, with tons of fun enemies to blast through. It has everything fans love about Metal Slug: action, humour, and chaos, wrapped into a great co-op experience in the arcade classics range on your Nintendo Switch. Metal Slug 3. Metal Slug 3 stands out as one of the most beloved entries in the series with fans, and I know having it midway up my list may upset some. Released in 2000, this game takes everything that made Metal Slug great and cranked it up to the next level. The game introduces wild new features like the ability to transform into zombies after being hit by them, and it's full of bizarre, memorable moments and levels that have multiple paths to explore. Whether you're blasting through jungles, battling alien invaders, or taking down massive tanks in boss fights, Metal Slug 3 brings a ton of variety and surprise to the table. My only real complaint is that the final mission takes around 30 minutes, and it just felt like it was full of cheap moments designed to cheat you out of credits. Let me know if you disagree, maybe I just need to get good, but that final mission to me felt more like Metal Slug. Metal Slug 4. Metal Slug 4 released in 2002, and it serves as a bit of a best of for the series, bringing together familiar elements while introducing a few new touches. It keeps the classic side-scrolling action that fans expect, with new enemies, vehicles, and playable characters this time, introducing Trevor and Nadia to the series. The game actually also revisits many of the series' iconic locales, as well as the usual intense shootouts and large-scale boss battles. While Metal Slug 4 doesn't really reinvent the wheel, it's a solid entry that feels like a tribute to the series past while offering enough new content to keep things interesting. I particularly liked how the missions felt stitched together instead of random encounters, and the pacing of the levels felt a bit more balanced than Metal Slug 3. Metal Slug X. Metal Slug X released in 1999, and it's an enhanced version of Metal Slug 2 with a few key changes to make it stand out. It keeps all the fast-paced classic chaos that fans love, but tweaks the gameplay to improve the experience. The game addresses some of the slowdown issues that plagued Metal Slug 2, making for smoother gameplay. It also adds new weapons, more challenging enemies, and a few reworked levels, giving players a fresh way to tackle the action. In some levels, bosses were switched out entirely for new and returning fights, as well as adding some mid-level boss fights with interesting twists. While it stays true to the original, Metal Slug X offers a more refined version of the formula, making it a solid pick for newcomers and longtime fans alike. Metal Slug Tactics. I am so glad I finally got to play Metal Slug Tactics for review a few weeks back, as it's a bit of a departure from the traditional Metal Slug formula. The game shifts into a tactical, isometric, turn-based strategy style, giving fans of the series a new way to experience the action. Set in the same world with familiar characters, Metal Slug Tactics combines the series' signature humour and chaotic combat with strategic planning. Players control a squad full of soldiers, using positioning and special abilities to defeat enemies in grid-based battles, using movement to accumulate adrenaline and coordinate sync shot attacks. While it may be short with only 3 levels, the roguelike nature warrants multiple playthroughs to experience everything that the game has to offer. Boss fights are a particular standout, offering unique challenges, often making the only chance for survival to deploy a slug on the battlefield. The game's visuals are still colourful and full of personality, keeping the spirit of Metal Slug intact while offering fans a fresh twist to those looking for a more thoughtful and tactical challenge. Metal Slug 1. This is where it all began. Metal Slug blasted its way into arcades in 1996, and it featured the amazing pixel art style we all love today. The game laid the groundwork for everything that came after, with its tight controls, fluid animations, and its signature over-the-top run-and-gun action. The weapon variety was simple yet satisfying, with heavy machine guns, grenades, rocket launchers, and that awesome shotgun, as well as the iconic Metal Slug tank that's become a staple of the franchise. Sure, the other games may have gone bigger, have a little bit more variety, and more wild, memorable moments, but Metal Slug 1 stands as a strong foundation for the series. Its balance of difficulty, playability, and chaotic fun is what makes it one of the best Metal Slug games, and earns it the number 2 spot on this list. And that can only leave us with one other game, and that's Metal Slug 2. Metal Slug 2 is often considered the peak of the franchise, and for good reason. It takes everything that made the first game great and amps it up to an entirely new level. The gameplay is more refined, with smoother mechanics, more weapons, and the introduction of new vehicles like the Slug Flyer that add fresh dynamics to the action. But what truly sets Metal Slug 2 apart is its variety. Crazy new enemies, massive memorable bosses, and a wider range of environments that just keep things so interesting. The mummy transformation is iconic, and honestly, isn't that just an amazing mission? And then they followed it up with the train level, which was just brilliant. The visuals are packed with even more detail and personality. There were 2 new playable characters in Eri and Theo, and the level design is also tighter, offering the right balance of challenge and fun, but never feeling unfair. It's the perfect blend of everything the series is known for: fast-paced, explosive action with just the right amount of humour. Metal Slug 2 isn't just the pinnacle of the early games, but it's the one that refined the formula into something nearly perfect, making Metal Slug 2 the best in the series, in my humble opinion. So, there you have it. Did I get the list right? If not, let me know what you would have as number 1. I'm really surprised to see that Metal Slug 6 isn't on the Nintendo Switch yet, as it was on the Wii version of the Metal Slug Anthology, although I don't think it will release on this iteration of the Switch anymore. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Until then, I'm going to add some more credits to my Arcade Classics games and slug it out. Mission complete. Thanks so much for watching my video. If you liked it, the best way you can support What's It Like is by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends. For more reviews, click on the thumbnails to the right, and for everything Nintendo, check out whatsitlike.com.au.